This week in gaming, PlayStation struggles to get a live service game to live. Perfect Dark is dead, and the PS6 might be a handheld. This is the Nerd Cave Newz, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. How's it going, Derek?
It's going pretty well, man. You know, I had a technical hiccup before we had to get on. I forgot to put my laptop on its charger before I left for work this morning. Realized that on the way home, so I texted you. I was like, "Hey, might have to get on closer to the wire here because I need as much computer power as because it was below 10% when I left for work." So I'm just like, it wouldn't even gotten us through the first 30 minutes of the show.
No, it wouldn't have made it. And I hit you with PlayStation Hagrid, like old school, PlayStation. Did you know what that was?
I saw what it was. I don't know why you use that as the reference, but I got what it was.
Well, that's what I texted you.
Yeah.
Was PlayStation Hagrid, like PS, like one Hagrid, like the blocky Hagrid. I find it hilarious.
Oh, yeah?
That it was my disappointed face in you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was my disappointed. Amy says, "What's up, guys? Just chilling at the Holiday Inn. Just chilling." Derek, I need you to bring the energy. I need you to bring the thunder.
Sorry.
Okay?
Sorry. One of the other managers texted me from work. I had to there. So
these managers, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they need to back off. They need to back off.
You know, we'll see.
I'm gonna have to fight them. That's what I'm sensing here. That's what I'm sensing. But yes, guys, welcome to the stream. We're going to have a great stream. We're going to be talking about all of the video game news that you need to know. Welcome, everybody that is hanging out over on the vertical side of things. Really glad that you're here. We're about to jump into one of my favorite parts of the whole entire show. Yeah, Nerd Cave is greater than Derek's managers. I agree. What's up, Michael? Hope you're doing well.
What up, Mike?
Exactly. So that segment is what you're playing, and I want to hear what everybody is playing as well. If you don't have anything you're playing, what's your power? Playing, watching, reading. You could throw that in there in the chat. But Derek, were you able to get any playing done over the last week?
I got a little bit in. I was off Sunday, so we did Memorial Day, Labor Day on Sunday. But I was able to get a little bit more of the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC for Origins. I did finish the Tutankhamun area. And finished the Duat. Pretty cool, like pretty more laid back. There were some enemy locations, but finished that. Had an interesting little side quest that kind of wrapped up back into the main story there. And now I'm in the third area. I'm doing one because there's 2 of the 4 crypts that have that have missions in it, and I'm in that one right now. And it's interesting because it's all like sunshine and water, and it's like, you got to take out these sundials in order to unlock whatever. I'm like, okay, this is very cryptic. I feel like I'm not going to like what's going to come of it, but nonetheless, I started that, haven't finished that, but that's going to be the next thing I tackle over the next week.
Nice. I love it. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Getting kind of like you're saying some things like I read the King Chronicles back in the day. They're Rick Riordan's second series from like Percy Jackson and all that, and it was based off of like Egyptian mythology. So the Duat and like all the different gods and all of that. Always really enjoyed those. But for me, I sat down Friday night and I played about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 5 to 6 hours of Death Stranding. I just jumped in and played for a very good while. My hands were literally hurting the next day. Amy's like, you got to stretch before you play that long or take stretch breaks and all of that. So enjoying it. I got to like, there's essentially like the starting area, and you could play for like about 8 hours or so, 10 to 8 hours. And you're kind of learn the ropes and all of that kind of deal. And then you go across this lake, and then that's where the rest of the game, it feels like, is going to take place, is across the world, the map. Had my first boss battle experience.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, all right, we're here, we're doing this. And I wasn't like visually very scary. But the combat was like, oh, throw some grenades at him. And it was like, okay, that was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I know it's going to get more intense as we go. But now that I'm in the second area, I can start building roads and everything to making things a little bit easier. I'm connecting more things. And I finally got the robot legs to put on Norman Reedus. So now I'm like running and all
the
this
little
kind of
chicken
stuff.
walker legs, essentially.
Yeah, but I got a gold pair, so my dude's blinged out. We blinking out there.
I love gold.
Which probably doesn't help with the mules, which are like the trying to think of what they would have been in like the division, like the people that are just trying to steal your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the mules are in this. And so like I'm having to fight them. I literally have like a weapon that will shoot like a rope and like will tie them up, which is nice. That's the only weapon that I have so far that's like projectile. And then I have grenades that I'm able to like throw and all of that. But it will take out BTs, which are the like ghost kind of things. But I'm enjoying it. I stole a truck from the mules, which was nice because I'm carrying a lot of crap, Derek. I'm carrying a lot of crap.
I know.
I
know, like that's the whole thing. You're pretty much the Amazon simulator because you're just delivering stuff.
Yeah, so I stole this truck. I've got it like filled up in the back. I'm just like, so I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time there. And then Tuesday, of course, we're doing Ghost of Tsushima, and now I have the short bow. I have assassinations, and we're just kind of like going and met Lady Masako again. That opening of her story.
Best side quest in the entire game.
Absolutely. It's one of the best quests out of any game that I remember, to be honest, just because of the
emotional ties.
Yeah, the emotional ties, the toll that it takes you through and everything. So enjoying that and getting to have like chat vote on different things, either combat or stealth, or like, oh, we're going to go do side quests for a while, or we're going to go do main stuff, or hey, let's go try to pet a fox or something like that. It's just like the fun things to be able to get people in there. And now that we're kind of getting a little bit more into the actual gameplay, it's going to open up more and more as we go. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it and kind of knocking the rust off. My sword play isn't as bad, but my bow, oh man, my bow is not great.
You want some hype? You realize today, 4 weeks from today, we have Yote, and spoiling one of the quick hits. It's officially gone gold. So that October 2nd date is locked in, baby. We in there. And you want to add some more hype to it because we talked over the weekend and we had this realization. Literally a month from tonight, we have the premiere of My Hero Academia final season and Spy Family season 3 premiere on the same day. Let's go.
It's going to be a crazy beginning of October. Yote, Spy Family, My Hero Academia. This month, we've got a lot of crazy stuff going on with, Demon Slayer coming out in theaters on the 12th. And then
next week.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great, y'all. And another thing, I love this with our Ghost playthrough. When we get to a haiku area, I'm having people in chat write haikus.
Oh, boy, yeah. That's awesome.
Whoever wins, whoever has the best haiku, they will be like the pinned chat for next week's episode. So
that's what's up.
Bane won last week. We did one on Gravity, and everybody started dogging me about how Gravity is my weakest, my worst one.
Well, we found that out long ago with Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, Nate, it's going to take so long to waiting for all the Demon Slayer movies. Yeah,
I know. I hope that rumor's not true and they're waiting 2 years in between each movie, because that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
I know it's hype and they want to drag it out and milk that cow, but let's not do that either. A year between each one is well enough.
Yeah, like if it takes that long, I will definitely be reading the manga just to get it done with and everything. Which if anybody is interested and y'all want to come to Pensacola, let me know. We can go watch it on Saturday the 13th. Y'all hit me up. We'll go watch it. Amy's got she's going out with one of our friends. She's going to get coffee and all of that. And I'm like, might go watch some Demon Slayer. Why are you gonna do that? So, but yeah, I'm excited. So many great things, guys. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're talking about all the video game news that you need to know tonight. If this is your first time here, let us know. We love getting to chat with new people. We love bringing y'all in to what we do here, because we do this each and every week. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Derek and I sit down, and we're nerdy, y'all. We're really nerdy about all of this. So if you like video game news, the industry side of things, you are in the right place. So, Derek, without further ado, let's jump into our first story of the night, which is Haven Studios' Fair Games suffers yet another setback as game director Daniel Drippy Draper exits.
So Haven Studios is facing another blow. Daniel Drapeau, the game director behind its debut title Fair Games, has quietly left the company this August and has joined WB Games Montreal as a creative director. This marks the second major departure Haven has experienced this year. Founder Jade Raymond left earlier in the year, and Fair Games itself was once planned for release in 2024, but has since been delayed to spring of next year. The delay followed poor external playtest feedback and Jade Raymond's exit. So far, Sony and Haven Studios have remained mostly silent about the recent departure, offering no public statement. Now, Zach, the departure is not the real story we need to discuss here. Like, it's part of the real story, but the nitty-gritty I want to get to is, because we talked about it last week, how PlayStation wants to not have another
Concord.
Another Concord scenario, and they want to, if it's not working, cut the fat early rather than be too expensive and drag on too long. Do you think, with all the issues that we even see Fair Games, do you think Fair Games will do a Concord, and while it may not cost as much as Concord did, come out to a bluster, and maybe it won't die off in less than 2 weeks, but it won't last a month and then it'll be taken offline? Or do you think that giving it till spring of next year, Sony's trying to hemorrhage to see if it will be something worthwhile to release? Or do you think it won't even see the light of day?
Going the direction that they're going right now, with how they're wanting to test things early, fail fast, seeing where they're at with the playtest last year and that it wasn't great, I think this is the point where the rubber meets the road. They have to make the decision. Okay, you just lost the founder of the studio recently, now the games director, and the game was not performing up to the standard that is needed. You kill it. You get rid of it and you move to the next thing. Nobody was even excited when they saw Fair Games, because we already had the finals, and this is just the finals, but in a different form. It's like, if people want
the finals and Battlefield Hardline had a baby.
Yeah, if you want heist, you're going to go play GTA Online.
Correct.
And guess what's coming out next year? GTA Online. So it's like, why put yourself in that position? Go ahead, make the pivot. I know, Haven Studios, they probably have something else in the incubator, like game-wise or whatever. make the shift, move on. Nobody cares about this game.
That's assuming it sees the light of day, because after Concord got shut down, the studio, or after it got shut down, the studio got just shut. The doors shuttered. So I know it's one thing if like game directors or like artists or like level designers were leaving left and right. It'd be one thing, but you had the studio head and now you have the game director leaving. So it's like, do you think obviously we just talked about, does the game survive, but do you think the studio even survives? Because I know you said they might have something in the incubator, but I'm sure Fire Sprite did as well. I think that was the studio that did Fair Game or Concord, but I'm sure they did too. But then when Concord flopped, Sony was like, it doesn't matter. They did The Rock. It doesn't matter what else you have. You're close. You're canceled.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it matters. Like, again, and we've seen this time and again, when you see and yes, it's a tale of two halves. I know Dragon Age Veilguard saw a lot of turnover as far as like studio vets coming and going, and so did Mass Effect. Mass Effect is seeing that kind of same thing to an extent. And you saw Veilguard suffer from, you could almost say, an identity crisis just because of the changing of hands. But with these newer studios and like with Sony's like short leash on live service games, I don't know if and like we've seen it even on Xbox's side where games don't work out. And like with Perfect Dark, like we'll talk about it here in a minute, like Perfect Dark, it wasn't shaping up. They even tried bringing in a third-party studio to help with development. That didn't save it. And Xbox said, not only is the game canceled, all of y'all are cut, essentially. So I think with at least these first-party publishers, the studios aren't long for the world if you have these kind of struggles.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Sony is ready to put the axe to this. It might be, okay, yeah, the game's not good and we need a tax write-off.
Right.
Because we're still in the fiscal year. If they did it soon enough, it would be counted towards, this fiscal year of a write-off. How I would go about this, I would cancel the game. Me and Herman Holst are really good friends. I call him Herman the Worman. He loves it. He laughs every time. But which I also found him in Death Stranding too. The other day.
Nice. Yeah.
But if I was Herman, I would cancel the game, and then I would put this team on a kind of, not a probation, but in a way, a performance, what is that called? A performance plan. You know what I mean? It's like getting them up to snuff. But I would put them with another studio that is really good. I would do like Sucker Punch, help them with Legends, get that up and running, or have them help Bungie with Marathon, using that talent pool that you've got there, so you're not bleeding more, but you're also pushing forward another project that is going to do well, that will actually see the light of day. And then you can make the decision, all right, who are the top performers? Do we keep Haven around, or do we, say, hey, we tried it, you're not meeting expectations, yada yada yada.
So my only counterpoint to that would be is because Haven was a startup, and Fire Sprite was a smaller studio as well. Now, yes, they didn't work on, like, I know it's not a great comparison to make, but Sony had no problem giving them the axe. And I do like that, I do like your idea of like make them like a Raven studio, like put them on support to help other studios with the online, because that's a good call. Legends is not coming out till next year, so like it gives them time to like work and incubate that. The only issue I would see that Sony would give them the axe is Jade Raymond. Like that was the power name that you had, that helming the studio, helming it up. I feel like if she had stayed, if Fair Games was canceled, she would have pounded the table to keep the studio open and just give them, maybe be a support studio, maybe give them another shot at a different game that maybe wasn't live service. But since she left, I don't know if they have that standing anymore. Like if anyone would give them that standing, or Sony, like it would be like their fate is in Sony's hands at this point. Like they don't have anyone to go to bat for them, because that's what I think. The same thing with Firesprite. I feel like Sony didn't give Firesprite a fair shake, and they should have given them one more chance. Because I mean, again, apples to oranges, and this other studio has a long-standing longevity with Sony. But Ben put out Days Gone, like, you know, then they hadn't put out a AAA game since Siphon Filter, and they like, yeah, I know it's still popular in some aspects, but Days Gone was a dumpster fire at launch.
Yeah,
and Sony, like Sony said, basically told them, is like, yeah, Days Gone 2 is canceled, like the sequels can, like, you know, all this other stuff, like, we'll keep you, but we're going to make sure we're going to greenlit the ideas we actually think will work for you guys. Now, again, they've had that 10-year, they've had the history with it. So, but Sony could have easily just said, y'all are gone too, but, or is giving Bend another chance. You should have given Firesprite another chance, but because they didn't, and Haven is still a newer studio, I don't think they have a leg to stand on with Jade Raymond gone. So, but we know, who knows? Sony could treat this differently. So, because I think, again, thinking about it too, Firesprite had, like with Concord, it cost Sony much more to cancel Concord and recoup people, because people had already pre-ordered and bought. Yep. So they lost even more money that way. So because if they cancel Fair Games before it even sees the light of day, maybe Sony gives them one more shot, but they're going to look at them with, be like, you're going to be homeschooled. We're going to keep a watchful eye on you.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, I'm looking at, apparently they did support on Concord, technical support.
Haven Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no bueno either.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Now, you know, you brought up Bend. I'm thinking of Media Molecule as well.
Oh yeah. At least Dreams did something, you know what I mean? It, like, yeah, maybe the story didn't light up, but the creative mode won awards. It did take the world by storm in some aspects, you know.
Yeah, but
maybe it wasn't worth the 10-year longevity, but it at least did something.
Yeah, I'm looking. So we don't know how much they bought Haven Studios for. It's an undisclosed
did they
amount.
buy it? Because I thought Haven was a new, well, no, they started and then Sony acquired them. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah, because they were making Stadia games beforehand.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that's a thing in the ecosphere.
It was. But it's interesting because I'm looking and it says founders. Jade Raymond is on there, but also Daniel Drapeau, or whatever you say his name. He's also one of the founders. So 2 of the 5 founders are gone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, this is very interesting. They've got, it looks like 106 was the last number they put out of employees in 2022. Okay. But I would pull the plug on Fair Games as quick as possible.
I think, and that we're both in agreement on.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you pull the plug, you move them into like a support role, because clearly they were already doing like technical support with Concord. You put them on that with, Ghost. You get them, stable, because I feel like right now they're not stable.
No.
They need some oversight, and they need somebody with a steady hand. Sucker Punch, Insomniac, get them working on Wolverine. Let's get that game out there, for the love of God.
Supposedly we might see another trailer this month. We'll see.
I'm not holding my breath on that one. But I will bet with you, Derek, if you wanted to.
Nah, you'll bet with yourself.
Everybody put a 5 in chat if you want Derek to bet me.
You can put a 10 in chat. I ain't doing it. I don't give him to
put a 5 in chat if Derek needs to man up and bet me again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he needs to man up and be a little chicken over here.
Yeah.
Derek's like Zenitsu, but he never falls asleep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You being all this scared over there. Yeah.
Okay. And moves on.
um,
I need you to send him to the Infinity Castle real quick.
Man, Muzan be like, yes, master. I'm glad that you're here, master. And I'm like, kneel
Oh,
before
okay. Yeah.
Zod.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Derek has learned the hard way not to bet me.
No.
I've never, publicly embarrassed him or anything.
You know.
Well, let's move on. Let's talk about some other public embarrassments. Report has it that Take-Two Interactive was in talks to save Xbox's canceled Perfect Dark reboot.
So in July, Microsoft canceled the long-awaited Perfect Dark reboot and shut down its developer, The Initiative, during major company layoffs. Crystal Dynamics, which had been co-developing the project, tried to keep it alive despite these cuts. Soon after, Take-Two Interactive entered talks to take over the game, working through Embracer Group, the parent company of Crystal Dynamics. Take-Two showed strong interest and was willing to fund and publish the reboot, but negotiations ran into a roadblock: ownership of the Perfect Dark IP. Microsoft, which has controlled the franchise since acquiring Rare in 2002, refused to give up rights. Without a clear agreement on who would own the series long term, the deal collapsed. After the talks fell apart, Crystal Dynamics faced its own layoffs, and the Perfect Dark reboot was officially abandoned for a second time. Fans who were excited by the 2024 teaser trailer were left disappointed, and the situation highlighted two major industry issues: how fragile game projects can be under shifting corporate strategies, and how much intellectual property ownership can decide whether a beloved franchise lives or dies. And I get the struggle of the struggle over control of the IP. I do. But people loan it out all the time. Like, like people can pitch in and pay for it, for use, or like make deals all the time. So I don't know. I guess it really decided on how much Microsoft wanted to play ball on this. And it looks like I don't want to say they weren't willing to, but I guess they may have had probably had some legal ties that they were out of their control. I don't know, but it's interesting. I think one of the underlying stories that that's not really being talked about is the interest in keeping Perfect Dark alive, because I watched a YouTube video a while back about how game franchises that like started strong and then ended disappointingly. One of the first ones I talked about was actually Perfect Dark, because it was only one game for a while, and then when it came back in the 360 days, they did Perfect Dark Zero, and it was very underwhelming compared to the 64 version. And then they tried to bring it back, obviously. So I think the bigger one of the underlying stories is the fact that, and maybe it was just like the way the game was being developed, like, because we did see the Summer Game Fest trailer from last year, and it looked really impressive from what we did see. But it's interesting that people are going ad nauseum to try and keep this alive, which is not like, I mean, it's probably one of those niche, like a cult like titles that is just special to a lot of people. But it feels like people trying to keep this alive and be like, oh, we want to try, or like Crystal Dynamics throwing their hat in the rings, like, we want to keep this going, and then Take-Two being like, oh, we'll try and keep this going, why don't you give us a shot? And it's like, does Perfect Dark really mean that much, or are you just trying to see if this franchise there's still juice to squeeze out of this franchise lemon? So I don't know. Zach, what is your takeaway from all of this? Is it more so you're surprised that so many studios were trying to keep this going, or just the fact of, yes, it's impressive that this tried to keep hemorrhaging this thing on life support, and it's still not still didn't happen?
I'm surprised that they kept going. I really am. Like, happily so, actually, because when you really get down to it, it's like this game ended the showcase, which is like, I don't know how many games that have ended a showcase that we weren't expecting to later get canceled within like a year. So to hear that, Take-Two, Embracer Group, were trying to move and make this happen, I was very shocked. I was also like, that's awesome. I'm glad that like they were trying to make it happen. And then you look at Microsoft's decision of, well, yeah, we're not going to do that because we don't want to lose IP. And it's like they could have figured something out if they wanted to play.
Correct.
But it's like, what are you going to do with an IP? Are you going to wait 30 years to try to do another one?
Right.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense when you already have not just the bones of this, but so much of this like ready to go.
Yeah.
And people were excited. People were ready for this. Like, I know Bo was like ecstatic that we saw, you know, got even a glimpse of this. But I think the end of the day, it's like there were people that really wanted to keep this alive. But in the end, Microsoft has the say because they own the IP since they bought Rare. And I just don't know why they didn't play ball, because Disney lends out their IP, rents out their IP all the time. There's a way to do this and still be able to like get the money that, like, clearly they were already doing this since Crystal Dynamics was working on it. It's like, yeah, just because Take-Two is coming into this, it doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to own the IP or anything like that.
Yeah. So, and yeah, it's always a weird one. I guess, you know, legal obligations are always a finicky one. We've seen it time and time again with, you know, like lawsuits and court cases and all that kind of stuff. I guess Microsoft has had their fair share, and it's like, you know, let's just not have another litigation issue. It's dead. Let's keep it buried. Let's not try and revive it like Pet Sematary or anything like that. So, I don't know. I am of the mindset that because we saw so much of, like, we saw, like, it wasn't just another like gameplay. It wasn't just like another like
graphic
cinematic trailer. It was actually like gameplay and like mission. Like
there was a good slice of the game that we were shown.
So I feel like I don't want to say it was Microsoft in Microsoft's best interest, but I do think if there was a lot of clamor for it, since there were like so many studios willing to go to bat to continue on this development, I feel like Microsoft should have found a way or just said, you know what, we'll give you guys a shot, or like, you know, Crystal, since we brought you in anyway to work on this, why don't you continue this and we'll just figure out the legal litigation later. I don't know. I feel like, especially now, yes, they put their foot in the mouth on this, but when you start a brand new studio, because like the initiative, and yes, again, the foot in the mouth was saying, oh, it's a quadruple A development studio. Like, you do shoehorn yourself into this different, you know, box than you do with other things. And yes, when's the last time, like, yes, we saw the year of acquisitions, like everyone buying up studios, but when's the last time you saw Microsoft build up their own studio from the ground up? You haven't. And when they came out with this, like, I feel like, yeah, that may not have been the IP they wanted to start with, but I feel like Microsoft owed it to the fans that since they were willing to bring back a game that doesn't have like a super long lineage to the fray, and there was, I don't want to say huge excitement, but there was a general excitement around the game, especially after last year. So I think Microsoft owed it, especially after all the other cancellations from last year going into the beginning of this year and all the layoffs. Like, I feel like they did owe the fans something. And even if they couldn't do it, they should have let these other studios try their hand at it.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I'm thinking of like the legal side of it. It's like, yeah, you know, we pause development, you know, for however long, we figure out the legal side of things. And if Xbox is like, oh, well, we want to make sure that we are covering the costs that we've ate so far, then it's like, okay, you get a bigger percentage of the take home or whatever. You know, you figure that out. It's like, okay, we, you know, once it goes on sale, we're going to make X amount of dollars guaranteed, or you pay us out at the very beginning so then we split it whatever percentage when it actually comes out. And I think that would be a healthier way of doing it. You know, and it might be, it's like, hey, it doesn't go on Game Pass because it's technically not Xbox developing it. It's like those things could be discussed, and it's like, where is the breaking point? What is the thing? What is the straw that broke the camel's back? and clearly it was the IP owning. And again, it's like that's not a big deal when you really look at it, because like
anything can be bought for the right price.
Yeah. I just feel like they didn't want to budge on it, and now like this franchise is going to lay dormant, and really nobody's going to care about this in 10-15 years. Like this franchise is just dead at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll remake Perfect Dark and Perfect Dark Zero again in like 2 to 5 years. Just be like, hey guys, this is not what you wanted, but hey, just remember the classics.
Yeah, we put it on whatever. You can play it on your Xbox ROG LIX, whatever,
fridge edition.
Yeah, and it's gonna run like crap. Guys, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe here for the Nerd Cave News. We do this each and every week, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. We love getting to chat and talk about all the video game news that you need to know. It's a good time. We also do a lot of great shows here. We're reacting to Kaiju number 8, season 2. We are playing through Ghost of Tsushima, prepping for Ghost of Yote. Just getting some rust off, so when I jump into it on the 2nd of October, we're in it to win it, and it's going to be a great time. But yes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and check us out on all of the other places. Next story, this one is a doozy, Derek, because I wasn't expecting this.
Nope.
The PlayStation 6 might be a Switch clone?
Question mark. A big rumor is making the rounds about Sony's future plans. A PS6 handheld, codenamed Canis, or Canis, however you pronounce it. The leak came from YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead, but nothing is officially confirmed by Sony yet. Here's what the leak claims. The CPU, it uses a custom AMD APU on a 3nm process. Inside are 6 cores, 4 high-power Zen 6C, and 2 energy-saving Zen 6 LP. It also has 4 megabytes of L3 cache. The memory. The handheld supports 192-bit LPDDR5 or 5X 88533 RAM with a max of 48 gigabytes. That's much higher than today's portable rivals.
Beep, boop, GPU. Beep, boop.
What?
It feels beep-boopy.
I know. GPU, an RDNA 5 graphics chip with 16 compute units. It runs at 1.2 gigahertz handheld and boost to 1.65 gigahertz docked. Performance. When docked, reports suggest it could deliver 55 to 75% of PS5's faster performance and even outperform the PS5 in ray tracing by 1.3 to 2.6 times, thanks to the new RDNA 5 tech and advanced upscaling. The Canis is designed to be dockable, much like the Nintendo Switch, letting players switch between handheld and TV play. It also brings modern touches, such as backwards compatibility with PS4 and PS5 games, storage expansion via micro SD and M.2 SSD, touchscreen, dual microphones, haptic feedback, and a strong vibration system. As for timing, production could begin in mid-2027 with a release in fall of that year, likely alongside the PS6 home console. Price is still speculative, but analysts think Sony may aim for a $400 to $500, which would undercut other handhelds like the ROG Ally and even compete with the Switch 2. So, and that answers one question. It's like, would this supposed handheld be just another like a complementary version to the PS6, or would it be the Switch where it's like that is the console, which is interesting, Zach, because there's been talks, we talked about it, I know, a little bit last year. The rumors this year have kind of been quiet, but there were talks at the end of last year that Sony might want to get in the handheld market again, and this was on the heels like a couple weeks after Microsoft said, hey, we're getting in the handheld market. And Sony was like, hey, we might want to revisit this. So do you want something like, because I know they tried it with the Vita, to try the pair, like with what was the feature they had where you could screen share like on the play from your PS4? Remote play?
Yeah, remote play.
Yeah. So they had that feature and it was okay. Like, yeah, there was some hiccups, and you had to be somewhat in somewhat in a proximity to your PS4, and your PS4 had to be turned on. But does this, I guess, for you, because I know you're a tech guy, I know you championed the Vita for a long time after Gio Corsi left,
Vita lives.
Yeah. Does this, if it's supposedly true, now this was what's his name? Who regularly talks about the reporter? Oh, what's his name? Because we have, no, not Schreier. It's the guy, like, he's the guy who always reports like when Sony's having like a state
Jeff
of play,
Grubb.
or Jeff Grubb. If this was from Jeff Grubb, I would take it more seriously and be like, okay, this is actually interesting. But let's just play hypothetical. Like, if this is true, does having a complimentary handheld that you can take on the go, because another excites you along with a home console? Like, yes, it'll be cheaper. Like, yes, it'll have things. Or do you want it to be like a separate entity from the PlayStation 6 in terms? Because if they're doing a home console, obviously, tariffs and all that other crap aside, like, this is obviously going to be the cheaper version, like with the dock and like taking it on the go to consumers. But having two different variations of arguably the same console, does it do anything for you, or would you just give me your thoughts on it?
So from what I'm reading from like our segment here is that it's going to be slightly less powerful than the PlayStation 5 is what I was getting. It said, where was it? Can deliver 55 to 75% of the PS5's faster performance. And then it actually has better ray tracing. So it's like, okay, if this can compete with or outperform the Steam Deck, man, that is going to be amazing, because the Steam Deck can do a lot of good things.
Right.
Especially if things are optimized for it. This isn't a day one purchase for me, though, because if I'm getting a PlayStation 6, I want the full thing. I don't want the watered down version. I don't want just the handheld version of it. I do want it. Let me make that clear. I do want a handheld version, because it would be dope to be able to say, okay, I'm on my lunch break, I just ate, and then I can whip out my PlayStation 6 handheld and play it. The Portal looks cool. I still really want a Portal, but when it has to be tied to, I have to have my PlayStation 5. I have to be on the same network. Technically, you don't have to be on the same network to be able to play it, but you know what I mean? It's like, you are making it where it's like, okay, this is like, I have to have so much to be able to do it. But if I can just have a handheld right out, that's going to be great, because think about the Japanese market, which you think about the PSP, that thing sold extremely well over in Japan, because everybody's taking trains. They have portable game systems. That's why the Switch is dominating. Switch 2 is selling so well, because people want to be on the go. And here in America, like cities that are like more,
like New York, Chicago,
that sort of deal, like, you would want that. Where here, like, you're driving, you're not, having somebody drive for you or whatever. But dude, it would be awesome. I hope it's true. I really do.
Yeah.
I think Sony sees that the handheld market is now no longer just Nintendo.
Right.
And if they can make it affordable compared to what Xbox is doing, where it's $800 to $1,000 to get one of these ROG Ally X or whatever, like, it would be a great way to get in there. But like, the water is getting muddier and muddier with all these handhelds out there, and you still have, like, all right, the Steam Deck can do so many things.
Yes.
The ROG Ally X can do Steam and Xbox. Is PlayStation going to allow you to play your Steam games on there?
We'll see.
Because they have the games are on Steam. A lot of them now, their PlayStation games have been ported and everything. So it's like,
that's true.
It's like, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it, especially because, and like, yes, it is good. Like you said earlier, you brought up a great point. While the waters are getting muddier, it's like there's been a renaissance, over the last couple of years of handheld, of people, of other companies and developers seeing this and being like, hey, yes, like Nintendo was the first and dominated a lot of the handheld markets. And yeah, they did the Switch, where it was like the hybrid of on the go. You can play console like games on the go and at home. And then it was like Steam was like, hey, why don't we get a chip of this? And like, because Sony threw their hat in the ring, like, and I think it also did well in Japan because it wasn't just Nintendo, and it was like different game like library to try and play on the go as well. And then the Vita didn't, the Vita came and went. That was more of lack of support. And now, like, because the Switch is so successful, and like there's been a boon of that. Now, like, you see Steam, you see the ROG Ally, and you see the Portal, and you see all this, and it's like, and I think the Portal is also a telling thing too for Sony, because it's like, oh, people really like this, and people still want this. They still want the quality. They still, and like, and it's not just the fact of on the go. It's like there are good looking games out there that you can actually play, not just look at these pixelated chibi like games that, out there. It's like, and you have to settle for less essentially. So I think Sony owes it, I think Sony said, you know what, we need a do-over. We need to make up for the mistake of the Vita, and we need to try our hand at it again. I just wonder, again, because we've seen it with the VR as well, they need to make sure it's supported. Now, yes, making it like a different of the second SKU in the PlayStation 6 ecosphere, I think will help for that, because they're not having to make two separate entities. Like how, all right, we need to make, like, let's just say Call of Duty, because Black Ops Declassified was an utter dumpster fire on the Vita. Like, we don't have to make a Call of Duty game for the PlayStation 4 and /3, and then we have to make a separate game that can be able to run on the Vita. Same thing, like, oh, we don't have to make a Killzone game for the PlayStation console and then make a separate PlayStation game on the Killzone game on the Vita. We can make the same, like, yeah, it might have to be watered down a little bit in terms of performance, but we can make the same SKU across both the home console and this handheld hybrid, and not have to worry about the lack of support.
Yeah, and that brings me to this question. Do you think next gen, instead of having VR, do they focus on handheld instead and scrap the VR side of things?
I think 100%. I mean, you kind of see the writing on the wall. Like, the VR2 did release, but the support for that killed off way faster than the VR1 did. I think Sony gave the VR1 a longer tail because it was so new to the gaming sphere. And the two, they were just like, it's DOA essentially. Let's just throw it out there. If someone buys it, cool. We'll throw a game here and there and just go away. So I do think that this will take away from the VR, which I'm okay with. Like, let other people, like, I think, oh God, I'm so scatterbrained tonight. What's the wireless VR?
The MetaQuest.
Yeah, I think the MetaQuest is just like the SKU to have at this point. So, and they pretty much dominate the market at this point. Just wave the white flag, let them have their ecosphere, let them make that money, and you focus on getting a slice of the handheld pie.
Yeah, and I think this is the time to move into that market. The PSP, like, it had its moment. The Vita was going against the DS and everything, and it was not going to perform well against that, because the way they priced everything. I think with this, if you told me, Derek, hey, I'm going to give you a handheld and it's going to be able to play every PlayStation 5 game that you have,
and PS4 game.
And PS4 game, but it's actually going to look like you're playing on a console, I'd be like, take my money, sir.
Right, 100%.
And it's like, okay, if that is the undocked version, and then you can dock it, and then it's, playing above what the PlayStation 5 is, I'm down for that. Again, sure. I do want the full version of it at launch. I want the PS6, but I would be picking up the the portable version of it, because there's just so much time where I want to sit on the couch, or I want to like lay in the bed, and like it's nice to be able to like have the backbone play it on my phone or whatever. It's not the same though. I do want a portal, but I don't want to pay $120 or how much, secondhand. And I've played so much Game Pass games on my Steam Deck because of that. It's like, oh, I can go on there, and Xbox has made it pretty easy to just, do that. And I hope that this could be a way for people to enjoy more PlayStation games on the go, because I think that is something that they've been missing for a very, very long time.
For sure. So, and I think, again, like, you can make an argument that, oh, they're starting to slip a little bit, or at least lose ground to like maybe at least the Xbox Game Pass subscription, and Switch, nipping at their heels with how, successful the Switch 2 has been so far. But they're still top of the mountain. So I think they owe it. Like, how do you stay at the top of the mountain? Like, you keep doing things that fans want and that do well, that make sense and do well for you financially.
1,000%. Well, everybody, it is time for the Patreon Quick Hits. Patreon Quick Hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. Go and support us at the Nerd Cave by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership to help us continue to make awesome shows just like this one, Eat, Sleep, Anime, and so many other awesome shows. Become part of the ship, part of the crew at patreon.com/nerdcave. It's time for the Patreon Quick Hits.
So starting off, Resident Evil Requiem has optional third-person mode, as Resident Evil 7 was possibly, quote, too scary. Rumor, Resident Evil Requiem is getting a PS4 and Switch 2 version. Epic Games boss addresses Unreal Engine 5 performance issues and suggests devs are not optimizing properly. Maybe, but that sounds a little tongue-in-cheek there. But anyway, RGG, or Ryugo Gakatoku Studio Summit 2025 confirmed for later this month, September 24th, and will be followed by a direct. Dino Crisis has reportedly seen 2 failed remake attempts at Capcom. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 anniversary updates arrived today and adds new PvP Hellbrute Onslaught and 3 new weapons. As I stated earlier in the show, Ghost of Yotei has officially gone gold. Let's go. 4 weeks from tonight, we will be playing this game, and I am so excited. Honkai Nexus Anima is the next Honkai game from Genshin Impact Studio. Battlefield 6 closed beta to start testing server browser and player-owned servers. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle devs detail clever system that increases the DLC's difficulty based on how much of the game, or how much of the base game you've played. Diablo devs vote to unionize at Blizzard. Elden Ring Night Reign's rumored ultra-hard difficulty modes confirmed for September 11th. Capcom confirms Pragmata is not a secret Mega Man revival, and it's a completely new game. Don't know where they would get the Mega Man revival, but sure, glad that they confirmed that they got that out of the way. Ex-Ubisoft Singapore vet Bill Money hired as new game director at Rocksteady Studios. Mortal Kombat 2 movie has been delayed until summer of next year, despite being 2 months away from hitting theaters. Weird decision. Mega Halucha is the latest Mega Evolution revealed for Pokemon Legends ZA. Left 4 Dead creator Mike Booth working on a new 4-player co-op shooter. Rumor, Injustice 3 is happening, according to 2 prominent series voice actors. Stardew Valley creator confirms a new update is coming. Gears of War Reloaded has hit 1 million players worldwide. Let's go. That Gears hype train is still alive and well. Release 6. Or E-Day at this point. Give me an E-Day release date. I don't care. Give me something. Borderlands 4 post-launch and in-game roadmap includes a story pack, bounty pack, ultimate vault hunter mode, and more. The future of Rayman is in the hands of Ubisoft Montpellier and Ubisoft Milan as series marks its 30th anniversary. Rumor, Rayman remake project going incredibly well, and tentative release date is set for late next year. Hollow Knight Silksong players on Switch 1 can unlock enhanced Switch 2 features for free. Capcom says high price of gaming is affecting Monster Hunter Wilds sales. Kojima set to offer a glimpse at future projects during the event celebrating 10 years of independence from Konami. Leaks suggest the biggest Lego Pokemon set will retail for a whopping $650. And I know when I posted this, I forget who, I'm sorry, but someone commented it better be the entire Kanto region. And to that I say I agree. And it better be more than Kanto, but for $650, but I digress. Ex-Capcom legend Hideaki Itsuno would like to make a new Capcom versus SNK title. Battlefield 6 confirms classic Operation Firestorm map for launch. Call of Duty film is official as Activision teams with Paramount. The new Resident Evil movie lives more in the world of RE2 and 3, says Zach Kreger. Stellar Blade sequel to feature expanded worldview and enhanced gameplay. Rumor, new digital PS5 edition with reduced storage launching this month. Another rumor, Insomniac Games set to unveil a new trailer for Marvel's Wolverine at rumored State of Play. 007 First Light release date set for March 27th with a $300 Legacy Edition confirmed. And this was off of the heels of yesterday. They had their State of Play focused on First Light. So it was about 40 minutes. I haven't seen anything on it. I haven't had a chance to, but y'all need to go check that out.
It's not a good State of Play.
Oh, anyway, IO Interactive publishing plans in question due to Mind's Eye disastrous launch. IO Interactive put Daniel Craig's head on Agent 47's body when pitching for 007 First Light. Tomb Raider live action series casts Sophie Turner as Lara Croft. Square Enix TGS lineup includes Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake and Final Fantasy Tactics. Call of Duty reportedly set to reduce game size by 100 gigabytes for next update. And lastly, Marvel Rivals is heading to PS4 alongside the Heart of the Dragon update on September 12th. So, not a good state of play, huh?
Yeah, man. It was like the game looks pretty good. I'm not gonna say it doesn't look good, but for like 2.5 minutes once we got into gameplay, it was this awkward driving where they're having a conversation, and it's like in the movies that's happening, but you're cutting from one person to the other, and you got all of this, but it's just like this awkward, like driving up to this big like castle thing. And then we got to see some gameplay, which looked pretty cool. Very, very like Hitman. Like it's definitely deep in that DNA. And then you have a car chase that we see, and half the time that the car that you're chasing, you don't even see the car. It's like so far ahead of you. It's like I don't feel like I'm actually catching up to this. And then it actually showed some like gunplay gameplay, and that felt pretty cool. There was a lot of like same kind of enemies over and over type deal. So that was a little, but like it felt kind of John Wick where you're like throwing punches, or you're throwing a weapon like a gun and hitting somebody and then grabbing their gun and shooting them. There was some cool
that almost sounds like Super Hot.
Yeah. So that was cool, but it didn't make me feel like, oh my God, I gotta go play this. It felt like this didn't show off as well as I wanted it to.
Right.
But there was some cool things where like you can kind of bluff your way out of situations, that sort of deal, gather intel and then pretend to be somebody else. Those little things made it feel more like James Bond.
Okay.
But there was definitely some parts where I'm like, maybe it's going to feel better when I'm controlling it. I've got the sticks, but just watching it, I was like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah. So since you've watched it, I have questions. So I have some questions for you then. Let me start off with the couple major ones first. So the big thing is the demo. We've seen, obviously, yes, there are bad demos which lead to bad games, but now we've seen that just the vertical slices were done poorly, but the games are actually good. Do you have? And yes, there were some positives in there as well. Do you think at this point? I know it's our first actual look at gameplay.
Yeah,
and we got about another 6 months before the game even releases, so they've got plenty of time to spruce it up and show more vertical slices. But just the first initial impression, do you feel like this was just maybe chalk it up to a bad demo, or do you think that there's maybe it's like, maybe they're maybe they got a little too big for themselves to do this.
It feels like it is in that weird position of AA, AAA. It doesn't know where it's supposed to be.
Right.
And like graphically, it looks like a AAA, but like there's not polish all the way through. I do think they didn't know how to really showcase the game because they could have cut out a lot of the chasing and like give me just a little bit of the sense like, oh, you're going after this, and because they cut in the middle of like the espionage side to like, and inevitably or whatever they had on the screen, and then you're in the car chase. They literally could cut again to where you're at this like airport or whatever and got into the actual gunplay of the game. I feel like some of that was just a pacing issue, but that pacing issue was the game as well.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it was just, well, you need to control the game,
Yeah.
And 6 months they could kind of shorten some of that up, make it a little bit more interesting to be chasing this person when you're driving, or make it more cinematic when you're in the car going up to this thing. Like there's a lot of good here, but I wouldn't expect it to be, on the level of like an Uncharted. It definitely is trying to be Uncharted because you fall out of a plane at one point. Yeah. And you're literally, I'm like, oh my God, we're back to Uncharted 3 here. It was, it was verbatim. It felt like we were doing the Uncharted thing again.
Yeah.
I just don't think it fully knows what it's trying to be.
Got you.
From this trailer. It feels like it's trying to be Uncharted, Hitman, and then James Bond all at the same time.
So that'll lead me to my next question, but let me sandwich the two smaller ones in between the two bigger ones. So the two smaller ones was, one, were you surprised we got a release date, and do you think it sticks to that? Because if we see another vertical slice, let's say at Game Awards, and it still feels like kind of like, okay, this was better than the state of play, but it's still some worrisome things that they delay it. Were you surprised we got a release date 6 months out, and do you think it sticks to that release date?
I was kind of surprised, but it wasn't like, oh my God, like, because
the gameplay was so underwhelming, like, eh.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it sticks.
I don't either. I think again, hypothetically talking here, if I assume the next time we will see this will be at Game Awards.
Yeah.
At the very latest, because I don't think they wait any. If it's coming at March, I think they want to give one more. Yeah. Well, with so many eyes on Game Awards, they want to show off. They want to show it off again. So, but something tells me that, again, I haven't watched it, but I trust. We both have the same taste in a lot of stuff. I do think, because based on what you said, that I don't think it sticks to spring landing. I don't even know if they delay it. I think they delay it to fall, because if it's another rough outing and not a lot of reception, and it's not a great reception from Game Awards, they have to right the ship, and they have to I don't want to say do a complete overhaul, but they got to figure some things out. The other smaller question I have was not the fact that it has a collector's edition, even though we really haven't seen collector's edition have gone the ways of dinosaurs at this point. Yeah, it's like, hey, we have so much swag now in the ecosphere from other avenues that it can make up for not having a collector's edition. But $300, it's not the fact that we have a collector's edition, it's the $300. Like, they are definitely living off the legacy name of 007 at this point. But are you shocked? Again, let's just say we live in a world without tariffs. The $300 price point would still be egregious. Like,
dude, the $300 price point is absolutely insane.
Right.
Like, this is a better look at it.
Because I tell you, the only time I paid $300 for a collector's edition, Zach, was Shadow of War, but it actually came with like a pretty sizable statue and enough. Like, it came with enough stuff to make it justified. Like, I can't tell you because I pre-ordered it, the box it came in, like, literally you could fit a person in there. Like, an average size person could fit in the box it came in. That's how big the collector's edition was. So it actually, the quality you can get into later, but for what you got with it, it was actually worth $300.
Yeah, like you get 4 exclusive outfits, you get some gold painted crap, and then you get a weapon skin. But then that's the deluxe edition. The exclusive skins are the golden gun in game and then some obsidian gold suit or whatever.
Yeah.
So like in game, you're not really getting much for getting this thing. And then you get like physically, you get like if somebody gave me this, I'd be like, dope, man. I'm happy to have this. But you know this thing is going to be made out of like some crappy plastic. It's not going to feel good. And it's like, yeah, the golden gun is the most iconic weapon out of all of James Bond. You think about, you know, GoldenEye, the golden gun was literally one shot and everything.
Yep.
But this, dude, I feel like they are really barking up the wrong tree here.
Yeah.
Like this should be $200 at max.
I was gonna say $200 at most.
Yeah, yeah. Like this is I feel like there's not going to be a lot pre-ordered on this because like yeah, one, it's way too overpriced, but two, that showcase did not make me feel like, oh, I'm gonna pay $300. Dude, I can freaking 3D print this and paint it gold and I have my own golden gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you could probably make it functional.
Yeah, like it would look way cooler than that. But yeah, it was disappointing. I will say that it was not as exciting as I was hoping it was going to be.
Right.
And like I wasn't going in this to like, oh, I'm gonna go bash this or whatever. It was just like, man, this is disappointing.
So that leads me to my last big, like the second big question I have, because it was such an underwhelming showing. Do you think this now? When I'm going to talk about, I want to ask about IO. Obviously, do you think IO is in over their head because we know they went independent? They retained the Hitman IP, and we're cheering for them because they Hitman has been done so well, but that has been in their DNA for so long. Like even before they went independent, they've been working on Hitman for so long that it is like yes, and you can, like you said, you can see it in the 007 DNA. Like, but do you think that when they scored this like legacy IP, now yes, it had some good games, but those games were several console generations ago at this point. The legacy is more from the movie side. Do you think because they scored this legacy that they are trying too hard to get people to like this, and they're trying too hard to basically like, hey, you know us for Hitman, you like us for Hitman, let's integrate some of the gameplay and love to make it feel like a Hitman game, but also pay homage to the legacy of 007, GoldenEye, all that kind of stuff? And you think they're trying too hard and, kind of stumbling forward with this? Or do you think it's because that they've gone in, and I don't like to throw this out as an excuse. Do you think that the fact that they are, they're kind of smelling themselves from doing Hitman for so long before they went independent, and that's just what they're only known for? And, we talked about how Mind's Eye was a disastrous launch, that because they don't have anyone keeping them in check technically, that they're kind of like in a flux where they're just like, oh, let's try this or let's do this, but they have no one to tell them no. Like they don't have a Shuhei Yoshida to come in and say, this ain't it, Chief.
Yeah, I feel like if they listen to the feedback from this, they will be okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that this felt like it was so Hitman coded.
Yeah.
It was more of the parts where it didn't feel like Hitman that was kind of lackluster, that they don't know how to pace the things that aren't what in their wheelhouse.
Right.
Like the driving part, dude, it sucked. It like, the more I think about it, like I was watching with Kind of Funny, and it was just like, they were like, literally Greg was like, is anybody into this? And nobody was like, everybody was like, nah, this is pretty boring.
Yeah.
And even the parts where it was like supposed to be exciting, you go over this like ramp or whatever, it was kind of like, why are we doing this?
Right.
It felt just very weird. I go watch it for yourself, everybody, so you can see and everything. Opinion. But I think they need a reality check. But I do think the 007 thing, like the way that they're using like the bluffing and the like intel gathering, and then pretending that like there was like a part where it was like controlled like entrance or whatever, and you eavesdropped, and it's like, oh, if I pretend to be this dude, then I'll be able to get in there. And there was like, oh, I'm such and such, and the person's like, well, where's your camera? He's like, oh, let me go get that real quick. And then like he went and stole some dude's camera, and then he was able to get into this like higher security area. Like that felt very James Bond. And it's like you know, you get the license to kill when things go, totally off off kill and everything. Like there's some definitely cool things in there, but it's the trappings around it that I feel like is going to be not fully there unless they actually take the next 6 months and really polish this game.
Right. And just to throw this out here too, it's like thinking about it, talking about smelling themselves too, like the last couple Hitmans they made, or like the last, I know they Hitman World of, Assassination, they just kept adding to it, but they turned this into more of like a sandbox. Like, yeah, there was a story, but it mainly just became, because the previous Hitman games all had like a story around it. Like, yeah, you could kill your target however you want to, but there was like a through line. There was there was a point A to point B. And this last one, they're like, hey, you have targets. Doesn't matter, just take them out. And then it was just like to the next, like it was like a checkbox, like, all right, next one. And yeah, they had some fun events centered around it, like, having
killing Sean Bean.
Yeah, Sean Bean. Yeah, exactly. Those the exact point I was going to. So they kind of let it freeform, and now it's like they all have to go back to like a story-centric game, and it's like it feels like they don't remember how to do that.
Yeah, and like I think about like Hitman 1 through like Blood Money.
Yeah.
They were actually really good. I enjoyed those Hitman, but when they went to like the just going from sandbox. One hit to the I was like, I'm not digging this. I'm not, I'm not feeling this here. And
I think the turning point was Absolution.
Yeah. But it does feel like Hitman was never like, oh my God, the storytelling is amazing.
Oh yeah.
The pacing. And that's kind of what I was getting from this preview is like, this definitely doesn't have the pacing that I'm expecting from a James Bond,
right?
Where you've got the suspense, like you're doing all of this, and like, yes, it is a younger James Bond that we're dealing with, but it's like I'm hoping that maybe it's just what they showed at the State of Play. But if I was getting a State of Play, Derek, I would make sure I'd be leaving people like literally salivating to play my game
more.
Yeah. And it just, I think it also showed too much.
Okay.
It didn't make me want more. It was like, man,
y'all should have cut some off.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like there's a way to set this up. It could have literally been, and we're jumping into like, here's the pitch of what's going on in this mission, not 2.5 minutes of the game telling you what's going on. And I just feel like right now we're going on very long about this.
Yeah. This is our honorary fourth news segment, guys.
Yeah. But we'll see. And to leave on a better note, Hollow Knight Silksong, Derek, freaking crashing out today. Literally was crashing PlayStation, Steam, and Switch stores. And at the time of the article's publication, this is over on IGN, Silksong was on a huge 453,993 concurrent players on Steam. Like, it was going absolutely crazy today. And the game is only $20, dude.
Crazy. And supposedly, I didn't ever check to confirm it, but someone posted on the Kind of Funny Facebook page that it's on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. I was watching Andy Cortez play it throughout the day and everything, and it looks cool. It's just not my game. It's just not something that I'm into. So but if you're into like the Metroidvania, like the platform fighting kind of stuff, Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, that kind of stuff, you're gonna eat well on this. The game looks gorgeous, the music's great, the character designs are really cool. So I think people are going to really enjoy the game.
Good.
Well, that's it, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to go over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Support us over there to help us keep making more and more awesome content like this one. We'll be live on Tuesday talking more Ghost of Tsushima and playing it, not just talking. That would be kind of boring if I just talked the whole time. Didn't let you see anything. Man, I had to hide so many cheeks playing on Tuesday. Gotta hide them cheeky cheeks, you know.
You're a real cheeky guy, Zach.
Yeah. But this has been Zach
and Derek.
God bless week. Bye-bye.